HBO is also developing a new Game of Thrones prequel show based on George R. R. Martin's Tales of Dunk and Egg, which followed the adventures of Sir Duncan the Tall Dunk and young Aegon V Targaryen Egg, 90 years prior to the events of A Song of Ice and Fire. In this video we talk about a character that is important in both the Targaryen history and the Tales of Dunk and Egg, being the main character himself, Aegon Egg Targaryen. Aegon V Targaryen was a lord of the Seven Kingdoms, and the 15th Targaryen to sit the Iron Throne as King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men. In his youth he went by the nickname Egg, and squired for Sir Duncan the Tall. Aegon became a king after a great council bypassed a number of candidates earlier in the line of succession, and after his elder brother Maester Aemon refused the throne. As the fourth son of Maegor I, himself a fourth son, Aegon was called Aegon the Unlikely. Aegon had large eyes which could appear dark blue, but were actually deep and dark and purple. The boy was pasty-faced and skinny. He shaved his hair to hide his identity while a squire, making his eyes appear huge on his bald head. Aegon wore a wide-brimmed floppy straw hat, while squiring for Sir Duncan the Tall. According to a semi-canonical source, the adult Aegon had long, shoulder-length hair that shone like beaten gold with strands of silver woven together. Tall, slender and handsome, he wore the crown of Aegon III. Aegon grew to become a kindly and approachable man beloved by small folk. Maester Aemon, who gave the nickname Egg to his brother, believed that Aegon had innocence and sweetness. Aegon was born the fourth son and fifth child of Prince Maegor Targaryen and his wife, Diana Dane. Aegon served at court in King's Landing for 2 years as a page, sometimes attending to the small council. Aegon owned a dragon egg, which was colored with green and white swirls and had been placed in his cradle with him when he was a babe. Aegon and his elder brother Prince Aemon, who we all know as Maester Aemon, hoped their eggs would hatch so they could become dragon riders. Aegon kept his egg at Summerhall. Aegon loathed his brother, the cruel and sadistic Arryn. Aegon was supposed to squire for his eldest brother Daeron in the tourney at Ashford Meadow, but Daeron had no interest in jousting, and instead drank himself into a stupor at an inn. Daeron shaved Aegon's head to prevent the boy's distinctive Targaryen hair from being recognized by men sent by their father, Prince Maegor. When the Hedge Knight Dunk visited the inn, he assumed Aegon was a stable boy. Calling himself Egg, the disguised Aegon had assumed that Dunk was short for Duncan, which Dunk accepted. Aegon was impressed by the humble Hedge Knight and followed him. Sir Duncan the Tall agreed to let Egg serve as his squire during the tourney. Duncan was arrested and sentenced to fight a trial by battle after attacking Egg's elder brother Prince Aerion Targaryen. Duncan was accused by both Aerion and his older brother Prince Daeron Targaryen, who had falsely accused Duncan of having kidnapped Prince Aegon Targaryen. Because the battle was to be a trial of 7, Aegon convinced Sir Lionel Baratheon to fight on behalf of Duncan. Aegon's uncle Prince Baelor Breakspear also fought alongside Duncan during the trial, but Baelor died of a wound inflicted by Prince Maegor, Baelor's brother and Aegon's father, who had fought on behalf of Aerion and House Targaryen. After Daeron was defeated and Aerion withdrew his accusation during the trial, Duncan was declared innocent. Maegor, the Prince of Summerhall, wished Aegon to be trained as a knight, but Aegon would only agree if Duncan were the knight who trained him. When Maegor offered Duncan a place at the garrison of Summerhall, Dunk declined and agreed to take Aegon, on only if Aegon accompanied him as his squire. Aegon would live humbly, but Duncan thought it would make Aegon a better man than his brothers, Aerion and Daeron. Thus Aegon served as a squire to the Duncan under his nickname Egg. Aegon kept his identity secret from the public while squiring for Duncan, and he kept hidden in his boot a signet ring from his father, Maegor Targaryen, Prince of Summerhall. Aegon married Lady Betha Blackwood in 220 AC. The marriage at the time provoked no opposition as Aegon was very low in the line of succession. They married for love and eventually had 5 children together. Aegon named his firstborn son Duncan to honor his friend, Sir Duncan the Tall. In 221 AC, Aegon's uncle King Aerys I Targaryen died with no issue, and was followed on the Iron Throne by his last living brother, Prince Maegor Targaryen. Aegon and his brothers were summoned to court by King Maekor. According to a semi-canon source, Aegon participated in the suppression of the Peak Uprising in 233 AC, with Theon Lannister as his squire. King Maekor I was killed at Starpike during the rebellion, however. According to a semi-canon source, the prince knighted the mortally wounded Tywald Lannister, Theon's twin, during the battle. With Maekor dead, it was unclear who should be the king, since two of Aegon's older brothers had died before his father. Daeron left a feeble-witted daughter named Vela, and Aerion an infant son, so a great council was called to choose a king. Aegon seemed the logical choice, but many lords considered him half a peasant, due to his youth among the smallfolk. The council approached Aegon's older brother Maester Aemon, but he refused, stating the crown should be given to Aegon. Aegon was crowned Lord of the Seven Kingdoms in 233 AC, when he was 33 years old. During the most, if not all, of Aegon V's reign, his old friend Sir Duncan the Tall served as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. Aegon's first act as a king was the arrest of Lord Brynden Rivers, the Hand of the King, for the murder of Aenys Blackfyre, as Bloodraven had offered Aenys safe conduct to Westeros for the Great Council, but had Aenys executed when he arrived in the capital. Although all were glad another Blackfyre pretender was dead, Aegon had to punish Lord Bloodraven, to prove the word of the Iron Throne was not worthless. Although Brynden was sentenced to death, Aegon allowed him to join the Night's Watch. Aegon's brother Maester Aemon decided to join the Night's Watch as well, to prevent any plots in which he would be used against his brother. Brynden and Aemon were joined by many of Bloodraven's personal guard, the Raven's Teeth, as well as prisoners released from dungeons by the king. The end of winter saw the return of the Blackfyre pretenders, with the Fourth Blackfyre Rebellion taking place in 236 AC. Daemon III Blackfyre attempted to seize the Iron Throne with the Golden Company, but few rallied to his side. Aegon and his sons rode to meet and repel the invaders, and Duncan the Tall slew Daemon in single combat, ending the rebellion. Aegon Rivers, known as Bittersteel, managed to flee with remnants of the Golden Company across the Narrow Sea. Aegon V spent much of his reign dealing with uprisings. Most of Aegon's troubles resulted from his efforts to improve the lives of the smallfolk, whom he had interacted with while squiring for Duncan. Lacking the dragons controlled by early Targaryen kings, Aegon reluctantly compromised with disobedient lords on several issues. Aegon faced renewed troubles in his reign caused by his sons. Convinced the Targaryen practice of incestuous marriage was harmful after spending time with smallfolk, Aegon and his queen Baetha Blackwood betrothed 4 of their children to some of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms in 237 AC. Their eldest son and heir, Prince Duncan, was betrothed to the daughter of Lord Lionel Baratheon of Storm's End. Prince Jaehaerys, Aegon's second son, was betrothed to Lady Celia Tully, the daughter of the Lord of Riverrun. Aegon's youngest son, Prince Daeron, was betrothed to Lady Olenna Redwine of the Arbor, who would later become known to all of us as Lady Olenna Tyrell. In addition, Aegon's eldest daughter, Princess Shaera, was betrothed to Luther Tyrell, the heir to Highgarden. The proposed marriages would have won Aegon much support for his reforms, but his children had inherited his willfulness and their mother's stubbornness. Beginning in 239 AC, Prince Duncan fell in love with and eventually wed the mysterious Jenny of Oldstones. The prince chose his wife over the Iron Throne and abdicated as Prince of Dragonstone, making his younger brother Prince Jaehaerys the new heir. With Duncan refusing to marry the daughter of Lord Baratheon, Storm's End briefly rose in rebellion, which ended when Sir Duncan the Tall of the Kingsguard forced Lord Lionel to yield during trial by combat. With Duncan marrying Jenny as precedent, Jaehaerys and Shaera secretly wed and consummated their marriage in 240 AC, leaving Aegon to deal with the anger of Houses Tully and Tyrell. Although betrothed for 9 years to Lady Olenna Redwine, Prince Daeron broke his betrothal in 246 AC. In 258 AC, 9 outlaws, exiles, pirates and sellswords hoping to carve out individual kingdoms came together in the disputed lands of Essos. Among this band of 9 was Meleys I Blackfyre, the last of the Blackfyres. Because the outlaws had no great urgency, King Aegon remained intent on his reign and on dragons in particular. Against the advice of his friends and counselors, Aegon V became convinced that only with dragons could he force the lords of the Seven Kingdoms to accept his decrees that granted freedoms, rights and protections to the small folk. This eventually led to the tragedy of Summerhall in 259 AC, in which Aegon perished while trying to hatch dragon eggs. His son Prince Duncan the Small, his friend and Lord Commander of the Kingsguard Sir Duncan the Tall, and others of the royal court also perished in the fire. Aegon was succeeded by his second son and heir, Jaehaerys II. Many of the laws, rights and protections King Aegon V had granted and bestowed upon the small folk were later undone during the reign of King Aerys II by the hand of the king, Lord Tywin Lannister. Many interesting characters, Targaryens and others, many legendary figures that are immortalized in many songs and stories. All of that and more the Game of Thrones prequel shows are bringing to us, starting with the House of the Dragon in 2022. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!